Hey guys, welcome to ABC Cooking, where I'm going to show you the recipes I've learned growing up as an American-born Chinese. Today, we're making Taiwanese beef noodle soup, 牛肉面. If you want to make traditional Taiwanese beef noodle soup, then you have to use beef shank. Beef shank comes from the cow's leg and includes tendon in addition to the meat. The tendon is what makes the beef shank so succulent and tender after a long time of cooking. To start off the soup, we're going to need some aromatic vegetables. I'll be using green onions, ginger, and garlic. For the green onions, just trim off the dark green tops and save those for later, and then cut off the roots and throw those away. For the ginger, just slice that up into some thin slices, and peel and cut off the root of the garlic, and then give it a good smash to release the flavors. Now set these ingredients aside while we let our liquid come to a boil. For the liquid, you could just use regular plain old water, or you could use some kind of stock like my flavorful pork bone stock, which I will provide a link to in the description box below, or just click here. Just know that if you use water, the resulting soup will be less thick and less flavorful. Once whatever liquid you're using comes to a boil, add the aromatic vegetables and beef shank. Then let the liquid come back to the boil and skim off any scum that may rise to the surface. I didn't have any show up at this point, but you might. Then let the meat boil for about an hour until it's soft enough to be cut into bite-sized pieces. Take the beef shank out of the pot and then using some tongs to help you cut the beef shank into whatever shape and size you like. I usually cut it into bite-sized chunks, but at some restaurants I've seen them cut it into thick slices so that you can see the tendon. I like to cut the tendon off the tip of the meat and then cut the meat in half and those halves into bite-sized chunks. Once all the meat has been cut up, put those pieces back into the pot and boil for about another 2 to 3 hours until the meat is tender. You'll know when the meat is tender enough when you can easily poke it with a chopstick. Another way to test it is to cut the meat in half with your chopstick and then just eat it. Once the beef is tender enough, you can set the soup pot aside and start working on the other components of the dish. The first component is going to be some kind of leafy vegetable. You could use baby spinach, bok choy, or use what I'm using, which is napa cabbage. If you're using napa cabbage like I am, then I suggest using the yellow ones versus the green ones, because the yellow-leaved ones are more tender and tend to be more sweet. Peel off the leaves from the core one by one, and then stack the leaves. Cut the stems into about 1/2-inch pieces and the leaves into about 1-inch pieces. Then separate the stems from the leaves because the stems will take longer to cook. When you're done prepping, bring a pot of water to boil and add salt to flavor. First add in the stems and cook those for about 2 to 3 minutes until the tips start to turn translucent. Then add the leaves and continue to cook everything for about 5 minutes until completely translucent. When the cabbage is done cooking, either strain it or remove it with a pair of tongs. I'm going to be using tongs because I want to reuse this water for the noodles. And speaking of noodles, I'll be using these frozen udon noodles, but you can use whatever type you like, such as instant ramen, spaghetti, or you could even get fancy and make some handmade noodles. Maybe I'll make a video for those one day. Let the water come back to a boil and add your noodles. Cook the noodles according to the instructions on whatever packaging you're using. If you're using frozen udon noodles, these will cook very quickly. When the noodles are done cooking, strain them, and if you're using frozen udon, then I suggest running them under some cold, fresh water. Running them under cold water stops the cooking process and will ensure that the udon stays nice and chewy and elastic. For assembly, add some noodles to a bowl, then top with whatever veggie you're using. Add on some pieces of beef and tendon, and then ladle over that delicious soup. Top with some sliced up green onions and it's ready to eat. Ooh, let me get some of that beef. You know the meat is going to be tender and delicious when you can easily cut it with chopsticks. Taiwanese beef noodle soup is one of my all-time favorite dishes. The beef shank is nice and tender thanks to the tendon that runs throughout the meat, and the tendon itself, if you've never had it, is sticky and delicious. The type of 牛肉面 that I made today is called 清炖牛肉面, meaning clear broth beef noodle soup. If you want, you could add some hot pepper paste or some kind of hot sauce at this point to kick things up a bit. Alternatively, while the beef is cooking, you could add in soy sauce and hot sauce to the broth, making the dish 红烧牛肉面. No matter which version you choose to cook, the dish is going to be delicious. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, if you follow me, cooking can be easy as ABC. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!